Ambassador stood in the center of the vast crystal chamber, her small human form dwarfed by the massive beings around her. The Galactic Council chamber was a marvel of alien engineering. Walls made of living crystal stretched up into darkness, pulsing with soft blue light. 12 seats arranged in a perfect circle housed the most powerful species in the known galaxy. Wore her best diplomatic uniform, dark blue with gold trim. The Earth symbol on her chest seemed tiny compared to the elaborate decorations worn by the alien representatives. She had practiced her speech for months. Today, humanity would ask to join the galactic community. The representative spoke first. Counselor was a being of pure energy contained within a crystal shell. When he spoke, his voice rang like singing glass. "Human, you come before us seeking membership in our council. Tell us why your species deserves to stand among us." Took a deep breath. Honored counselors, humanity brings unique strengths to this alliance. We have developed advanced medical techniques, created beautiful art, and built a peaceful society on Earth. Our scientists have unlocked many secrets of physics and biology. We offer friendship, trade, and cooperation. A sound like clicking filled the chamber. It came from Counselor, the representative. The insect-like being stood 3 meters tall, with 4 arms and compound eyes that sparkled with intelligence. Friendship, trade, these are not accomplishments. Show us your technology. Activated her holographic display. Images of human achievements filled the air. Space stations orbiting Earth, fusion power plants, medical machines that could repair damaged organs, ships that had traveled to Jupiter and beyond. But instead of amazement, she heard something worse: laughter. The aquatic representative, Counselor Ha, spoke through her water-filled helmet. Her voice bubbled with amusement. "They still use chemical rockets. How primitive." Counselor's crystal form brightened. "Look at their weapons. Projectiles that throw pieces of metal. Do they not know about energy manipulation?" The laughter grew louder. 12 different alien species found humanity's achievements funny. Felt her cheeks burn with shame, but she stood straight. "Our technology may seem simple, but it is effective," she said. "We believe in using what works best for each situation." This brought even more laughter. A slug-like being from the collective oozed forward in its chair. "Effective. You burn things to create power. You throw rocks to fight. My offspring could design better tools." His hands clenched into fists, but she kept her voice calm. "Sometimes the simple solution is the best solution. Our rocks can destroy asteroids. Our burning powers our entire civilization." Counselor rose from his seat. The crystal being towered over everyone else in the chamber. "Enough. We have heard your presentation. The council will now deliberate." The 12 aliens spoke in languages could not understand. Their translation devices had been turned off, shutting her out of the discussion. She could only watch as they gestured and made sounds that ranged from musical tones to harsh clicking. After 10 minutes, Counselor turned back to her. "The Galactic Council has reached a decision. Humanity is membership." His heart sank, but she was not surprised. "May I ask why?" "Your species lacks the technological sophistication required for galactic citizenship," explained. "You are classified as a protected developing species. This means you are forbidden from expanding beyond your star system until you reach proper advancement levels." "And what would those levels be?" asked. Counselor clicked with amusement. "When you stop burning things for energy, when you stop throwing metal to solve problems, when you develop real technology instead of these crude tools." Looked around the chamber at the alien faces. Some showed pity, others showed dismissal, none showed respect. "You are making a mistake," she said quietly. "Are we?" Counselor Ha bubbled. "Your longest space journey took months to reach your outer planets. Our ships crossed the galaxy in days. Your weapons could not penetrate our weakest shields. Your power sources are barely sufficient for a single world." "You judge us by our tools, not our spirit," replied. "That is your first mistake. Counselor's form flared brighter. Spirit does not matter in the void between stars. Technology does, power does, you have neither. Walked closer to the center of the circle. Her voice carried clearly through the chamber. Our tools may be simple, but they have never failed us. Every human achievement was built with these crude methods. We went from ground-bound to space-faring in a single century. How long did it take your species? Thousands of years, admitted a bird-like creature from the Union. But we did it properly, with real technology. You did it slowly, corrected. We did it fast. You see our chemical rockets as primitive. We see them as reliable. You laugh at our metal projectiles. We know they always hit their target. Counselor descended back to his seat. This conversation is pointless. The decision is final. Return to your system, human. Develop proper technology. Perhaps in a few centuries we will reconsider. Bowed formally to the council. I understand your position, but I want to make sure you understand ours. She straightened and looked each alien representative in the eye. You mistake our simplicity for weakness. You think our basic tools make us inferior, but remember this warning. She paused, making sure every alien was listening. Humanity prefers what works. We have survived ice ages, plagues, and wars by adapting and persisting. We do not give up, and we do not forget. His voice grew stronger. You judge fire as primitive, but fire shaped our world. Fire built our civilization, and fire can unmake what others have built. Counselor waved a crystalline appendage dismissively. Empty threats from a species that cannot leave its own star. Your fire means nothing in the cold of space. Smiled, but it was not a pleasant expression. We shall see. She turned and walked toward the chamber exit. Behind her, alien laughter followed her footsteps. They found her warning as amusing as her technology. As the chamber doors closed behind her, whispered to herself, "Laugh while you can. You have no idea what fire really means." The council had made their decision. They saw humanity as children playing with dangerous toys. They had given Earth a cage and expected humans to accept it quietly. They had never been more wrong about anything in their long, advanced lives. 6 months had passed since the Galactic Council's rejection. On Earth, most people believed their government was following the aliens' rules. The news reported that humanity was focusing on improving their technology to meet Council standards. Scientists worked on better computers and cleaner energy. Politicians gave speeches about patience and cooperation. But in the hidden military facilities scattered across Earth's moon, a different kind of work was happening. Captain stood on the bridge of the Prometheus, watching his crew make final preparations. The ship looked nothing like the sleek vessels the Council aliens flew. Instead of smooth curves and glowing energy fields, the Prometheus was a collection of metal tubes, fuel tanks, and engine blocks held together with thick steel beams. It looked like something built in a factory, not grown in a laboratory. "Captain, all systems are green," reported Lieutenant Sarah from the engineering station. She was young but brilliant, one of Earth's best fusion specialists. "The new hybrid engines are running perfectly." Nodded. The hybrid engines were Sarah's design, combining human fusion technology with small pieces of alien equipment salvaged from crashed probes. The aliens would call it crude, but it worked better than anything humanity had built before. "Navigation, are we clear for departure?" asked. "Yes, sir. No Council monitoring ships in this sector. The route to Wolf 359 is open." Smiled. Wolf 359 was a red dwarf star 11 light-years from Earth. According to Council records, it had no interesting planets and no alien presence. Perfect for humanity's first secret colony. "All hands, this is the captain. Prepare for departure. We are about to make history." The Prometheus was officially listed as a deep system research vessel, studying asteroid mining techniques near Neptune. In reality, it carried 300 colonists, construction equipment, and enough supplies to build a permanent settlement. More importantly, it carried the plans and materials to build humanity's first off-world shipyard. The ship's chemical boosters fired first, pushing it away from the lunar facility. Then the fusion drives kicked in, accelerating the vessel toward the edge of the solar system. The journey to Wolf 359 would take 8 months using the new hybrid engines. Traditional human technology would have needed decades. As Earth shrank behind them, thought about the meeting that had started this mission. 3 days after return from the Council, she had gathered Earth's military and scientific leaders in a secure facility. "They want to keep us locked in our own system," had said. "They think we will sit quietly and work on proper technology until we meet their standards. They are wrong." Admiral Santos, Earth's senior military commander, had leaned forward. "What are you suggesting?" "We follow their rules publicly and ignore them privately," replied. "We build colonies in secret, we develop new technology, and we prepare for the day they try to force us to obey." Doctor had raised her hand. "The Council has monitoring stations throughout this region of space. How do we avoid detection?" Smiled. "By being exactly what they expect us to be, crude, simple, and too primitive to pose a threat." The plan was elegant in its simplicity. Humanity would build ships that looked like improved versions of their current technology. No exotic materials, no energy fields, no quantum computers. Just metal, fusion, and chemical rockets. The aliens would see exactly what they expected to see and dismiss it as harmless. But appearances could be deceiving. Now, as the Prometheus traveled through space toward humanity's first secret colony, reviewed the intelligence reports Earth had gathered about their alien neighbors. The Council species had incredible technology, but they all shared certain weaknesses. They relied heavily on energy shields for protection, assuming that all threats would be energy-based. Their weapons were sophisticated plasma and particle beam devices that could melt through most materials but required enormous power sources. Most importantly, they had grown soft. None of the Council species had fought a real war in over 1,000 years. Their conflicts were resolved through negotiation, trade disputes, or at worst, economic sanctions. They had forgotten what desperate, determined enemies could accomplish. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from Earth," the communications officer reported. "Put it through." Admiral Santos appeared on the main screen. Behind her, could see the busy activity of Earth's expanded military shipyards. "I have an update on the other missions." In addition to the Prometheus, Earth had launched 7 other research vessels toward different star systems. Each carried colonists and equipment for building hidden outposts. If the Council discovered one, the others would continue. "All ships have reported successful departure," Santos continued. "And Doctor will be interested to know that her engine design has been approved for mass production. We're building 200 new ships using her hybrid technology." Sarah grinned from her station. "What class of ships, Admiral?" "We're calling them class destroyers. Fast, maneuverable, and armed with the new rail gun systems." Nodded approvingly. Rail guns were human kinetic weapons that used magnetic fields to launch metal projectiles at tremendous speeds. Simple technology, but devastating against targets that relied on energy shields for protection. "There's more," Santos added. "Our intelligence teams have been studying the Council species. We've identified several potential weaknesses in their defensive systems." Over the next hour, Santos briefed them on Earth's analysis of alien technology. The energy beings were nearly invulnerable to energy weapons, but had never faced physical projectiles. The hive mind made them excellent coordinators but vulnerable to rapid, unpredictable attacks. The aquatic species were brilliant tacticians, but had no experience with the three-dimensional thinking required for space combat. "Remember," Santos concluded, "our goal is not to start a war. Our goal is to be ready if they start one." The transmission ended, leaving and his crew alone with their thoughts. Around them, the vast emptiness of space stretched in all directions. Somewhere ahead lay Wolf 359 and humanity's first step toward true independence. "Captain," Sarah said quietly, "do you really think we can stand against the entire Galactic Council?" Considered the question carefully. The Council commanded thousands of ships, controlled hundreds of star systems, and possessed technology that seemed almost magical. Humanity had a few hundred vessels, one star system, and tools the aliens considered primitive. "Sarah, did you know that your hybrid engines produce more thrust than any Council ship design? But their ships are faster overall because of their exotic matter cores." "True, but speed isn't everything in a fight. Sometimes you need power, sometimes you need reliability, and sometimes you need the willingness to use both." Looked out at the stars ahead. "The Council thinks we're weak because our technology is simple, but simple technology doesn't fail when you need it most." He turned to address his entire bridge crew. "We're not trying to match the Council ship for ship. We're not trying to build better energy shields or faster computers. We're going to do what humans have always done when faced with a superior enemy." "What's that, sir?" asked the navigation officer. Smiled, and it was the same expression had worn when she left the Council chamber. "We're going to cheat. We're going to fight dirty. And we're going to use our primitive technology to show them that simple doesn't mean weak." The Prometheus continued its journey toward Wolf 359, carrying humanity's hopes for freedom among the stars. Behind it, Earth's shipyards worked around the clock, building vessels that would either secure humanity's future or die trying. The Council had laughed at humanity's fire. Soon, they would learn what that fire could really do. The colony of Haven was growing well. After 18 months of hard work, 3,000 humans had built a thriving settlement on the second planet of the Wolf 359 system. The red dwarf star provided steady, if dim, sunlight. Fusion reactors supplied additional power. Most importantly, the asteroid belt contained vast amounts of metals perfect for shipbuilding. Captain stood in Haven's new orbital shipyard, watching workers put the finishing touches on their first locally built vessel. The Defiant was a class destroyer, sleek but functional. Its hull was dark gray metal covered with sensor arrays and weapon mounts. Chemical rocket boosters flanked the main fusion drive. To alien eyes, it would look like a slightly improved version of primitive human technology. They had no idea how wrong they were. "Captain, we have a problem," called Commander Lisa Park from the communications center. "Long-range sensors are detecting incoming ships. Configuration matches design." Felt his stomach drop. They were one of the Council's most aggressive species. If they had found Haven, the secret was blown. "How many ships?" he asked. 7 vessels, moving in perfect formation. They'll be in system in 6 hours. Activated his communicator. "All department heads to the command center immediately. This is not a drill." 20 minutes later, Haven's leadership team gathered around a holographic display showing the approaching fleet. The insect-like aliens flew ships that looked like crystalline flowers, with petal-shaped energy projectors surrounding a central command module. "Options?" asked. Chief Engineer Sarah spoke first. "We have 4 ships operational. The Defiant, 2 mining vessels converted to fighters, and the Prometheus. Against 7 cruisers, we're outnumbered and—" "What about evacuation?" suggested Dr. Martinez, the colony's medical officer. "Impossible," replied Commander Park. "Our transports can't carry everyone, and there's nowhere to hide 3,000 people." Studied the tactical display. The ships were larger than the human vessels, with powerful plasma weapons and energy shields. Standard Council doctrine said they were invulnerable to primitive human technology. Standard Council doctrine was about to be tested. "Sarah, are the new railgun systems online?" "Yes, sir. All 4 ships have the upgraded magnetic launchers. We also have the new ammunition types you requested." Smiled grimly. The railgun ammunition wasn't just simple metal slugs. Human engineers had developed specialized projectiles using alien technology recovered from crashed probes. Some were designed to penetrate energy shields. Others contained small fusion charges that detonated on impact. The aliens would recognize the technology as crude, but they wouldn't understand how it had been modified. "Commander Park, open a communication channel to the colony. All civilians to emergency shelters, military personnel to battle stations." As the evacuation began, boarded the Defiant. The ship's bridge was cramped compared to alien vessels, with mechanical controls and display screens instead of holographic interfaces. But it was reliable, and right now, reliability mattered more than elegance. "Captain, incoming transmission from the fleet," reported the communications officer. "Put it through." The main screen filled with the image of a commander. The insect-like being stood 3 meters tall, with 4 arms and compound eyes that reflected light in shifting patterns. When it spoke, the words came through the translation system in a clicking, mechanical voice. "Human vessels, I am Hive Commander of the Exploration Fleet. You are in violation of Galactic Council Resolution 847, which restricts your species to your home system. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." Stood and faced the screen. "Commander, this is Captain of the human colony Haven. We are conducting peaceful mining operations in an unclaimed system. We have violated no laws." The alien's compound eyes shifted color from blue to angry red. "Resolution 847 forbids human expansion beyond the Sol system. Your presence here is illegal. You have 1 hour to begin evacuation procedures. And if we refuse, then you will be removed by force. Your primitive weapons cannot penetrate our shields or match our firepower. Do not force us to demonstrate our superiority." Looked at his crew. Young faces, determined expressions. They had come here to build a new life for humanity among the stars. Now they might have to fight for it. "Commander, we have families here, children, scientists. They have done nothing wrong except try to build a better future. The Council's decision is final, 1 hour." The transmission ended, turned to his tactical officer. Analysis of their formation. Classic flower pattern. 7 ships arranged in a circle around their flagship. Energy shields at maximum, plasma weapons charged. They're not expecting resistance. Sarah's voice came over the intercom from engineering. "Captain, I've been studying their approach vector. They're using standard Council defensive protocols. Their shields are configured to stop energy weapons and deflect particle beams. But not solid projectiles. Theory says yes, but no one has tested it in centuries. Council species stopped using kinetic weapons long ago." Made his decision. "All ships, this is Captain, we will not abandon Haven. Prepare for combat." 58 minutes later, the fleet entered orbit around Haven's planet. Their ships moved in perfect coordination, a testament to their hive mind intelligence. Plasma weapons glowed with contained energy. Shields shimmered around each vessel like soap bubbles. Hive Commander transmitted one final warning. "Human Captain, your time has expired. Withdraw or be destroyed." "Negative, Commander. Haven is our home. We will defend it." "So be it. All ships commence attack. Show these primitives the price of defying the Council." The ships opened fire simultaneously. Brilliant streams of plasma erupted from their petal-shaped weapons, turning space around Haven into a light show of deadly energy. The beams struck the human ships, testing their defenses. But the human vessels didn't rely on energy shields. Instead, they used thick armor plating and reactive hull designs that dispersed heat and deflected energy. The plasma beams scorched their hulls but didn't penetrate. "Return fire," ordered. The Defiance rail guns activated with a sound like thunder. Magnetic coils charged with massive amounts of power, then released tungsten projectiles at 15% of light speed. The metal slugs were invisible against the black of space, detectable only as brief distortions in sensor readings. The first salvo struck the lead ship. The projectiles passed through the energy shields as if they weren't there, because the shields were designed to stop energy, not matter. The tungsten slugs punched through the alien hull like bullets through paper. "Impossible," his voice crackled over the communication channel. "How did you penetrate our shields?" Smiled coldly. "Simple, Commander, we throw rocks, very fast rocks." The battle became chaos. Ships broke formation, trying to maneuver away from the human projectiles. But the insect-like aliens had grown dependent on their energy shields. Their vessels were lightly armored, designed for speed and firepower rather than defense against physical impacts. The human ships pressed their attack. The Defiant and Prometheus used their chemical boosters for sudden acceleration bursts, making their movements unpredictable. The converted mining vessels fired volleys of explosive slugs that detonated inside alien hulls. Within 30 minutes, 3 ships were destroyed and 2 more were heavily damaged. The remaining vessels, including its flagship, attempted to retreat. But wasn't finished. Target their engines. Don't let them escape to report what they've learned. The final phase of the battle was decisive. Human rail guns systematically disabled the fleeing ships. One by one, their exotic matter drives failed, leaving them drifting in space. Opened a channel to the alien flagship. Appeared on screen, his compound eyes dim with defeat and confusion. "How?" the alien commander whispered. "How did you destroy ships that have never been defeated?" "Because you forgot the most basic rule of warfare," replied. "The enemy's vote counts too. You expected us to fight like you do, with energy and exotic matter. We fought like humans with metal and determination." "Your projectiles, how did they penetrate our shields?" Shook his head. "Your shields stop energy. They don't stop mass. Every council species made the same mistake. You advanced so far beyond physical weapons that you forgot how to defend against them." His form was fading as his ship's life support failed. "The Council must be warned." "No, Commander, they must be surprised." The Defiant's final rail gun shot destroyed the flagship's communication array, cutting off its last transmission. Minutes later, the alien commander's ship went dark, adding another wreck to the debris field around Haven. As the human ships regrouped, Sarah's voice came over the intercom. "Captain, we did it. We actually did it." Nodded, but his expression was grim. "We won the battle, Sarah, but the war is just beginning. When these ships don't report back, the Council will send more, bigger ships, deadlier weapons." He looked out at the wreckage of the fleet, thinking about the message had tried to deliver to the Council months ago. The aliens had laughed at humanity's simple technology and crude weapons. They weren't laughing anymore. The Galactic Council chamber had never been so quiet. For the first time in 3,000 years, a Council fleet had been completely destroyed. 7 ships, gone without trace. The hive mind's final, broken transmission spoke of impossible weapons and shattered shields. Counselor stood in the center of the crystal chamber, his energy form burning brighter than usual with anger. The leader's voice resonated through the space like ringing bells. "Explain to me how 7 advanced cruisers were defeated by primitive humans throwing metal." Counselor Ha's aquatic form rippled with distress inside her water-filled chamber. The last transmission from Hive Commander was fragmentary, something about projectiles penetrating energy shields. "The concept makes no sense." "It makes perfect sense," said a new voice from the chamber entrance. Ambassador walked into the room, flanked by 2 alien guards. Her diplomatic immunity allowed her access to council meetings, though she rarely attended. Turned toward her, his crystal form flaring with hostility. "Human, You dare show your face here after your species violated the expansion restrictions. Smiled calmly as she took her place in the witness circle. I told you that you were making a mistake. I warned you that humanity would not accept your cage quietly. You chose not to listen. Your illegal colonies will be removed, declared. The First Fleet has already been dispatched to your home system. 47 dreadnoughts will teach your species the price of defying the Council. 47 ships raised an eyebrow. Against humans with primitive technology, isn't that excessive? Counselor's replacement, a younger called, clicked with agitation. The hive mind's memories of the battle are disturbing. Your projectiles somehow bypassed all our defensive systems. How is this possible? Shrugged. You spent so long developing energy shields and exotic weapons that you forgot about basic physics. Mass in motion stays in motion. Your shields stop energy, not matter. The council erupted in clicking, bubbling, and ringing sounds as the various species discussed this revelation. After several minutes, restored order. Impossible. Kinetic weapons are primitive. No advanced species has used solid projectiles in over 2,000 years. Because you all each other's technology, explained. Everyone developed energy weapons because energy weapons were fashionable. Everyone built energy shields because that's what everyone else used. You created an entire galactic civilization based on a single approach to warfare. Counselor Ha's tentacles writhed with confusion. But kinetic weapons are inefficient. They require massive amounts of energy to achieve useful velocities. Not if you're creative about it, replied. Humans have always been good at making efficient weapons. We've had practice. Meanwhile, deep in space between Council territory and the Sol system, the First Fleet moved toward Earth with deadly purpose. Admiral commanded from the flagship Crystal Dominion, a massive vessel that looked like a living jewel cutting through the darkness. There were beings of pure energy contained within crystal matrices. Their ships reflected their nature, built from exotic materials that could channel and focus enormous amounts of power. Each dreadnought was 3 kilometers long and capable of destroying entire planets. Admiral studied the intelligence reports about human capabilities, chemical rockets, fusion reactors, and kinetic weapons, technology that belonged in a museum, not on a battlefield. Admiral, reported his tactical officer, we are receiving updated intelligence from the Council. The fleet was destroyed by projectile weapons that somehow penetrated standard energy shields. Crystal form pulsed with dismissive light. They relied too heavily on basic defensive systems. Our ships use adaptive energy matrices. They automatically adjust to counter any threat. What about the projectile weapons themselves? Metal thrown through space. How primitive can these humans be? His form brightened with confidence. Our armor is made from crystalline materials that can absorb kinetic impacts. Human projectiles will shatter harmlessly against our hulls. The Admiral was so confident that he didn't bother to change his approach vector. The fleet would arrive at Earth in perfect formation, demonstrate their superiority, and watch the humans surrender. It was a plan that had worked against every other species in the galaxy. But on Earth, different plans were being made. Admiral Santos stood in the underground command center beneath Earth's moon, studying tactical displays that showed the approaching alien fleet. Around her, the greatest military minds of humanity worked frantically to prepare defenses. Final count, she asked. 47 dreadnoughts arriving in 6 days, reported General, the Orbital Defense Coordinator. Each ship is approximately 50 times larger than our biggest vessels. Santos nodded grimly. The numbers were overwhelming, but numbers weren't everything. What about our fleet composition? 137 ships ready for combat, 89 class destroyers, 36 Inferno-class battleships, and 12 converted cargo vessels equipped with the new warheads. The Inferno-class battleships were humanity's answer to alien dreadnoughts. Still small compared to vessels, they carried the most powerful weapons humans had ever built. Rail guns that could accelerate projectiles to 20% of light speed, nuclear-pumped fusion charges, and experimental ammunition designed specifically to counter alien technology. "Doctor, what's the status on the special projectiles?" Sarah looked up from her computer terminal. "Production is complete. We've manufactured over 10,000 kinetic penetrators using salvaged alien materials. Each one contains a small fusion charge that detonates after penetration." Santos smiled. The special projectiles were Sarah's masterpiece. They looked like simple metal slugs but contained exotic matter cores that would destabilize when they hit crystalline structures. Against ships, they would be devastatingly effective. "Admiral," called the communications officer, "we're receiving updates from our hidden colonies. Haven, New California, and Archers Point all report successful completion of their shipyard projects. Total combined fleet strength is now over 300 vessels." Santos felt a surge of hope. 300 ships was still smaller than a typical council fleet, but it was 300 more than the aliens expected humans to have. "What about evacuation protocols?" "All non-essential personnel have been moved to the outer system installations. Earth's population has been reduced to military personnel and critical infrastructure workers." Santos looked around the command center at the faces of her staff. Young and old, male and female, representing dozens of Earth's nations and cultures, all united in their determination to protect humanity's right to exist among the stars. "Ladies and," she said, 6 days from now, the most powerful alien fleet in the galaxy will arrive at Earth expecting to find a few primitive ships and a defeated human race. Instead, they're going to find something the Council has never encountered before." "What's that, Admiral?" asked General. Santos's smile was the same expression had worn when she left the council chamber and had shown before the battle at Haven. "They're going to find humans who refuse to surrender. They expect us to be intimidated by their superior technology and overwhelming numbers. They think we'll negotiate or beg for mercy." She turned to the tactical display showing the approaching fleet. "They have no idea that humanity's greatest weapon isn't our rail guns or fusion charges. It's our absolute refusal to accept defeat." The countdown timer on the display showed 5 days, 18 hours and 37 minutes until the fleet reached Earth. Around the solar system, human ships moved into position. Weapons were charged, armor was checked, and final messages were sent to loved ones. They were coming to demonstrate the futility of defying the Council. They believed their crystal ships were invulnerable and their energy weapons irresistible. Soon, they would learn the same lesson they had discovered at Haven. When humans fight with their backs against the wall, simple technology becomes something far more dangerous. It becomes desperation made manifest. The first fleet emerged from hyperspace like falling stars, 47 crystalline dreadnoughts arranged in perfect formation. Each ship was a marvel of alien engineering, 3 kilometers of living crystal that bent light and space around itself. Admiral's flagship Crystal Dominion led the formation, its energy matrix pulsing with contained power. Admiral studied the scanner readings with satisfaction. The human fleet was exactly where intelligence reports had predicted, scattered throughout the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. 137 primitive vessels trying to hide among the rocky debris like frightened children. "Admiral," reported his tactical officer, "we are detecting the human fleet. Composition matches our projections. Small vessels with chemical propulsion and fusion reactors." Crystal form brightened with amusement. "Hiding in the asteroids. How quaint. Do they think a few rocks will protect them from our weapons? Should we demand their surrender?" "No, the time for negotiations has passed. Open fire and destroy them quickly. The Council wants this rebellion ended today. But in the asteroid belt, Admiral Santos had very different plans. Her flagship Indomitable, an Inferno-class battleship, was hidden behind a kilometer-wide asteroid. Around her, the human fleet waited in carefully planned positions. All ships, this is Admiral Santos. Execute Operation Prometheus. The human ships ignited their chemical boosters simultaneously, bursting from concealment like angry hornets. They had expected a defensive battle, with humans cowering behind their asteroids. Instead, the human fleet accelerated directly toward the alien formation. Watched in amazement as the primitive vessels charged toward his fleet. Are they insane? They cannot match our firepower. Perhaps they intend to ram us, suggested his tactical officer. Impossible, even humans are not that desperate. But as the human ships closed the distance, their true intent became clear. This was not a suicidal charge. It was a carefully planned attack using the one advantage humans possessed: unpredictability. The ships opened fire with their plasma lances, brilliant beams of energy that could melt through any known material. But the human vessels didn't try to avoid the beams. Instead, they used their chemical boosters for sudden directional changes, making their flight paths impossible to predict. "Admiral, their movement patterns make no sense," reported the tactical officer. "They're sacrificing efficiency for randomness." Was beginning to understand. They know they cannot outfly our targeting systems, so they're making themselves impossible to target accurately. The first human ships reached weapons range and opened fire. Rail guns discharged tungsten projectiles at 20% of light speed. The metal slugs were nearly invisible, detectable only as brief distortions in space. But was ready for this. Adaptive matrices to maximum, counterkinetic configuration. The shields shifted from their standard energy-absorbing mode to a new configuration, designed to deflect solid matter. The alien admiral smiled as the human projectiles struck his fleet's defenses and bounced harmlessly away. "Primitive weapons against advanced defenses," declared. "The humans' one trick has failed." Then the second wave of human projectiles arrived, and everything changed. These weren't simple tungsten slugs. They were Sarah special ammunition, metal shells containing exotic matter cores salvaged from alien technology. When they struck the shields, the exotic matter resonated with the crystalline defense systems. The first shield failure was spectacular. The Crystal Dominion's sister ship Eternal Radiance was struck by 6 resonance projectiles. Its adaptive matrix couldn't handle the harmonic feedback. The entire shield system collapsed in a cascade of brilliant light. "Impossible," shouted. "Those projectiles contain our own technology." Captain, now commanding the destroyer Defiant, smiled grimly as he watched alien ships die. His voice carried across the human fleet communication channels. "All ships, target the crystal joints. Those fancy hulls have weak points." The human attack became surgical in its precision. Instead of trying to destroy the massive alien ships with brute force, they aimed for specific vulnerable areas. Crystal matrices cracked under kinetic impact. Energy conduits shattered when hit by explosive charges. The beautiful dreadnoughts began breaking apart like expensive jewelry dropped on concrete. But the aliens were not helpless. His remaining ships for a counterattack. All vessels, emergency maneuvers, break formation and engage individually. The fleet scattered, using their superior speed and maneuverability to avoid the human projectiles. Their plasma lances found targets, and human ships began dying in brilliant explosions. The Prometheus, old exploration vessel, took a direct hit from an energy beam. The fusion reactor went critical, turning the ship into a miniature star for 3 seconds before it vaporized completely. But even as human ships died, their crews fought with desperate courage. The destroyer Courage lost its main engines but continued firing its rail guns using emergency power. The battleship Determination rammed a cruiser, destroying both vessels in a massive explosion. Admiral Santos watched the tactical display as the battle raged around her. Human losses were mounting, but so were alien casualties. 20 ships had been destroyed or disabled. The odds were becoming more even. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the enemy flagship," reported her communications officer. "Put it through." Admiral appeared on the main screen, his crystal form flickering with damage and confusion. "Human Admiral, I offer you one chance to surrender. Cease this futile resistance and your deaths will be quick." Santos looked at the alien commander with cold eyes. "Admiral, you came here expecting to intimidate a primitive species. Instead, you found something your advanced civilization forgot how to deal with." "What is that?" "Desperation, determination, and the willingness to burn everything, including ourselves, to protect what we love." His form pulsed with angry light. "Your ships are dying, your weapons are primitive, you cannot win this battle." Santos smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression. "Admiral, you still don't understand what you're fighting. You see our ships as crude metal boxes. We see them as homes worth dying for. You see our weapons as simple projectiles. We see them as the tools that will earn our freedom." "Enough philosophy, prepare to die." "No, Admiral, prepare to learn." Santos activated the fleet-wide communication system. "All ships, this is the Admiral. Execute Operation Phoenix." Across the human fleet, ships that had been holding back their most devastating weapons now revealed their final surprises. The converted cargo vessels opened their hulls, releasing clouds of small objects that looked like space debris. But these weren't random chunks of metal. They were thousands of tiny kinetic projectiles, each one guided by a simple computer and a small chemical rocket. The debris clouds spread throughout the battle area, creating a maze of high-velocity projectiles moving in unpredictable patterns. The ships, designed for elegant space combat between large vessels, were helpless against swarms of tiny, fast-moving targets. Their sophisticated targeting systems couldn't track thousands of individual threats. Their powerful weapons were useless against targets too small to lock onto. "Impossible!" screamed as his ship's hull was peppered with small impacts. None were individually dangerous, but together they overwhelmed the alien vessel's defenses. His ship, damaged but still fighting, opened a communication channel to the alien admiral. "Admiral, this is Captain. I want to explain something to you." "Human, your tricks will not save you." "These aren't tricks, Admiral. This is what fire really means." His voice carried across both fleets as human and alien ships continued their deadly dance. "Fire isn't just about burning fuel or throwing projectiles. Fire is about transformation. It takes one thing and turns it into something else." Looked around his damaged bridge, where his crew continued fighting despite their wounds. "You see crude technology, but fire transformed our crude materials into something that can stand against your dreadnoughts. You see primitive humans, but fire transformed us from a ground-bound species into something that refuses to be caged." The tactical display showed the battle's final phase. Ships were dying faster than they could respond to the human attacks. The alien fleet's perfect formation had dissolved into chaos. "Fire consumes everything," Admiral continued. "It consumes fear, it consumes doubt, and when necessary it consumes the one who wields it." As he spoke, ship took another devastating hit. Life support was failing, the fusion reactor was unstable, and his crew was dying around him. But the Defiant's weapons were still functional. "Captain," his tactical officer called out, "the alien flagship is directly ahead. We can ram them." Nodded, "All hands abandon ship. I'll handle the rest." "Sir, the escape pods are damaged. We can't evacuate." Looked at his bridge crew, young faces showing fear but no hint of surrender. "Then we go together." He opened a final transmission to Admiral Santos. "Admiral, It's been an honor serving with you. Tell Earth that we made them proud." The Defiant ignited its chemical boosters one last time and accelerated toward the Crystal Dominion. Watched in horror as the human ship approached, understanding too late what was about to happen. "They wouldn't dare," he whispered. But his crew did dare. The Defiant struck the alien flagship at full velocity, punching through the crystalline hull and detonating inside the ship's energy core. The explosion was visible from Earth as a new star briefly appeared in the asteroid belt. Admiral died trying to understand how primitive humans had defeated the galaxy's most advanced fleet. His final thought was a question that would echo through Council space for generations. How had fire defeated crystal? When the battle ended, only 12 ships remained. They fled toward Council space, carrying news of humanity's impossible victory. Behind them, the human fleet regrouped among the debris of both sides' casualties. Admiral Santos stood on her damaged bridge, looking at the tactical display that showed humanity's triumph. They had lost 63 ships and over 15,000 people, but they had broken the myth of Council invincibility. "Admiral," her communications officer called, "we're receiving a transmission from Earth. Ambassador is requesting immediate conference." Appeared on the main screen, speaking from the Galactic Council chamber. Behind her, alien representatives sat in stunned silence. "The Council wants to negotiate," said. "What are their terms?" Smiled. "Full membership for humanity, equal representation on the Council, and formal recognition of human expansion rights." Santos looked around her bridge at the faces of her surviving crew. They had fought impossible odds and won. They had earned humanity's place among the stars not through diplomacy or technology, but through courage and sacrifice. "Tell the Council we accept," Santos said, "but on one condition." "What's that?" Santos's smile was the same expression had worn when she left the Council chamber, had shown before the battle at Haven, and had never understood until his final moment. "Tell them that from now on, when they see fire, they should remember what it really means. It means that some things are worth burning for, and humans will always choose to burn rather than surrender." The transmission ended, leaving Santos alone with her thoughts and the memory of all those who had died to secure humanity's freedom. In the distance, Earth's blue marble shone like a beacon against the dark of space. The Council had laughed at humanity's fire. Now they would learn to respect it.